Hi everyone, good morning.
Hi, Bhaskar. Good morning.
Yeah, perfect. So in the last session, we started talking about Azure Data Factory. And Azure Data Factory is a cloud-based integration services which is used to extract the data from various data sources and loads the data into the targets. And we talked about we started talking about the building blocks of Data Factory. So there are a few things that we discussed, like what is integration runtime and what is the purpose of integration runtime we have seen. And we also talked about, I think only the integration runtime only we covered. So rest of the things I'm going to cover now. On three integration runtimes we have seen. One is Azure integration runtime. To read the data from the Azure data storages, we can use Azure integration runtime. And to load the data into the Azure storages also, we are going to use Azure integration runtime. And self-hosted integration runtime, we talked about it when we can go for self-hosted. If your data sources are non-Azure storages, then we need to go for self-hosted integration runtimes. Okay, so how we can use this? All these things we'll see practically. And then we have a SSIS IR. This one we are not going to see practically, but we discussed about the purpose of this SSIS integration runtime. That is the first building block is integration runtime. The second building block is link services. So what does mean by link services? So link services, when you compare with SSIS, we used to call it as a connection manager. If you're anyone aware of it, then it is equivalent to connection manager. So it is going to have a connection details. It is going to have a connection details. Okay, so let's say for example, I'll give just normal example so that you can understand. When I was there in Chennai, I was there around 2015 or something like that. So later I got a transfer. I was transferred from Chennai to Hyderabad. Okay, so when I was transferring, what I did is I need to parcel my all the items, right? So I need to parcel it. So what I did it, I consulted one of the packers and movers. So there is a packers and movers. Most of you may be aware of it, packers and movers. So they will pack our items and they will move the items from our one location to another location. Okay, so I just called them and I gave my requirement, and immediately once that price and all is confirmed, then they asked me from which location we need to pack, from which location we need to deliver the items. So that details, that means the source address, the address of the items to pack that they need. So they asked me, I provided it. So that means I have items here. All items are available. They have to come here, they have to pack, and they have to move the items to the same other location. Okay, so when they wanted to come to my location, I have to share my location details. Address details, we need to share it. Address details are required to share to them. So if we share the address details, then only they can come to this location. Otherwise, they cannot commit. I hope you are able to follow with me. So address details of these items are required to share with them. So this is a vehicle or this is a person who is going to move your items from one location to another location. So address details of the source is required. And at the same time, if they wanted to deliver these items to the target, then target address details also is required. Here also we require address details. So in both the places, address details are required. Otherwise, they cannot come to your location to pack your items. In the same way, they cannot deliver the items if you don't give the target address. So this address details is known as link services. Link service here, and this is a target link service. So how many link services are required? 2 link services are required. One is for the source, another is for the target. Okay, is everyone clear why we need to have a address details or location details? Your link services is going to have a address of your source system and address of your target system. Any question with the link service?
Oscar, one question. So
Yeah.
address details means in the real time we are going to share the IP details.
Not IP details. We can say if it is a server name, database name.
Okay. Let's say
Okay.
I have one database which is existing some A location. So I want to shift into the B. So in that case, we need the server details and
Yes.
the login details also, right?
Of
Or
course.
only okay.
Login details means the person who is going to run, he has a access to read the data from there. Otherwise, they cannot move it.
Okay.
Okay. Address details also. Address details, and if you open the key, then only can go inside the home, right?
Yes,
So
correct.
in the
Okay.
same way, authentication details are required.
Okay.
Okay. So that will be common for everywhere. Okay. So when you go for link service in Data Factory, basically in SSIS or Informatica, you will be having only data related connectors. Only data related connections only will be there. But when it comes to the Data Factory, we have a data store connectors. I mean to say data related connectors and compute connectors also available. Compute connectors also are going to be available here. So that is the beauty of your link services in the Data Factory. So what it is going to do this compute is, if I wanted to run the Azure Databricks notebook or any other platform stuff, then we required compute. So Databricks cannot directly run with the Azure Data Factory. You need to have a compute. You're going to push your notebook. I mean to say notebook, you're going to trigger the notebook which is located in the Databricks. So in that particular case, you require compute. So we are going to create a connection for the compute also. So when we see practically, then you can understand what do you mean by data store connector and what do you mean by your compute connector. We'll see that. So for every data source, I mean to say, if I wanted to move the data from one place to another place, 100% link service is required. If you want to create this link service, integration runtime is required. Without integration runtime, you cannot create a link service. So link service is dependent on the integration runtime. Now I have a link, I have a connection. I came to here as I'm having a connection details or address details, and I need to pack the items. Because in my home there were many items are there. Do you need to move all the items from my home, or do you need to move only few items? It's all depends on the customer requirement. If the customer is completely moving, he may ask you to move all the items, or he is moving partially, then he may ask a few items only. In the same way, if you can apply to the same data, you may take all the data from the data source, or you may take the required data from the data source. So the data that is required for your movement, or the items that you require to move from one place to other place, that we can call it as a data set. So data set also is another building block. Without a data set, you cannot move the items. You have to pack the items. You have to decide what you wanted to take it from the source. So that is what the data set. In the same way, the same data set you need to deliver into the target also. So there also we require a data set. That means if I'm passing 10 items here, you need to make sure 10 items also available in the target, or that may be less or more or less. Okay, so when you go for data ingestion, 100% your source and target should be remain same. When there is any transformation is going to be happen, then you may have some difference in the number of records. Okay, so it's all depends that we can see. but data set is required for your source and for your target. So the data that is required for your data movement, that we can call it as a data set. Clear? Data set is another building block. If you want to create a data set, link service is required. The order you can see, the first is IR, the second is link service. If you want to create a link service, that is dependent on the integration runtime. Then third is data set. If you want to create a data set, then link service is required. If you don't have a data set, then you cannot do it. And then fourth is pipeline. For this pipeline, to create a pipeline, you require source data set and target data set. It all depends. There will be slight difference in the approach, but we required pipeline. The pipeline required data sets and so on. And you'll be having activities here. And then finally, we are going to have a trigger. So these are all the building blocks we are going to have it. But mandatory things are this one is required, this one is required, this one, and this one. But of course, every pipeline is going to have activities. So we'll see that. So data, that is what the data set, whatever we require, that we are going to take it. To move these items from here to here, right? From here to here, that we can call it as a data pipeline. The process of moving, that we can call it as a data pipeline. So to move it, we required activities also here. So there are various activities are there. We'll talk about it. Is everyone clear? This diagram, whatever I've drawn here. Okay, let's move on. So let me show you where exactly you can find this link services. Let me open my data factory. We created a data factory yesterday. I'm going to use the same data factory. Let's open the data factory, launch a data factory studio. So we are there in the manage. In the manage, we have seen integration runtimes. By default, there is a Azure integration runtime. And if you want to set it, we'll see that later. The next part is link services we discussed. A link services is going to have a connection information of the data store or compute. Now, if I try to add a new, then you can see here, there are two parts are available. One is data store connectors and compute connectors. So data store connectors are going to talk about the data. They're purely related to data. So data will be there. And here it is a runtime. You're going to have a runtime here. So let me show you. If I go to the data store, we have all these other data store connectors. These many connectors are not available for other ETL services in the market. Okay, so uncomparable, even if you compare with SSIS, there are many connectors are available. And so instead of having all together at one place, they categorized into Azure. These are all Azure related connectors. You can see we have a Azure related connectors. Database connectors, we have a Amazon Redshift, DB2, HBase, Hive, MySQL, Oracle, Netezza. So like this, there are many connectors are available. PostgreSQL. There are many things. And file related connectors, Amazon S3, FTP, file system, HDFS, SFTP, Google Cloud Storage, generic protocols, HTTP, REST API, ODBC, OData, NoSQL, Cassandra Mango. Okay, so and services and apps, Dynamic 365, GitHub. So like this, we have a varieties of the connectors we are having it. There are some connectors are in preview and some connectors are generally available, but always Microsoft is always there is to add the new connectors as and when required. So at this point of time, I did not count it how many are there. So these are all the connectors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 13. 13 3 is 69, 69, right? 13 3 is how many it is? 13 3 is 36, 39.
39.
Yeah, 39. 39 and this one 40. So total 40 connectors are available. No, I think I am wrong. Not sure. Just try. I'm not sure how many are there. I'll let you know once I count it. So this many connectors are available, and storage connect. I mean, compute connectors also I have, like Azure Databricks. If you wanted to run my Azure Databricks notebook, because Azure Databricks is different, your data factory is different. You can run your you can run your notebook from the data factory, and HD Insight, which is related to Hadoop. And if you want to run it, then you require a runtime of your Hadoop and Azure function runtime, machine learning runtime. So Synapse related runtimes. Okay, so this are all we can have it if you wanted to create a compute connectors. As part of our sessions, we are going to come across Azure Databricks. So how we can handle it, that we are going to come across it. So this is purely related to connectors. And once you have a connectivity, then you're going to create a data sets. So from the data sets, first two will be from manage, and rest of everything is going to come across your author. The author is going to have 100% of development. Here you're going to do 100% of development only you're going to do here. This entire space is a design surface, and we have a pipelines. Just ignore this change data capture. It is in preview mode. Data sets, data flows, and Power Query. As part of our sessions, we are going to come across with the pipelines, data sets, and data flows. The rest of them, we don't need that. You can just simply ignore. Even data flows also do not concentrate more on this. Okay, so not even 5% chances are there to use. So in my experience, only in my current project only they were having this data flows, but we are migrating from the data flows to Databricks. Okay, so we are not going to have it. There are many problems are there if you're trying to do the data transformations with the data flow. So whatever I'm going to say, that you just concentrate more on that. Okay, and now if I wanted to create a data set, then there is a data sets. When you move the cursor here, you can find the three dots here. You can see, and you can say hit a new data set. When I hit a new data set, you can, what are the connectors that you have used for a data connector? The same connectors are available here. The same connectors, you can find it. You can see Azure SQL database, Cassandra, DB2, HBase, HDFC. So like this, we have it. ODBC, Oracle, PostgreSQL. So these are all the connectors we're having it. Okay, so this will be used for data set. So what data you wanted to take it? What data you wanted to take, that is going to be there as part of this. Okay, so you're with me, right? If you know how we can create a link service, then you can create a data set also. There is a slight difference in the navigations, but you can feel if you are taking data from Oracle, then you can search for Oracle also. You can also search like this. Or if you're taking it from the SAP, then you can search for SAP. Or if you're taking from MySQL, then you can take MySQL. So depends on the requirement, you can take the appropriate connector to read the data or to prepare the data set for it. So this is about the data set. That is what I'm saying. It is used to represent the data that is required for your pipeline. So whatever the connectors are used to create a link service, same connectors can be used to create a data set. Example I have given. So once you create a pipeline, once you have a pipeline, the pipeline is going to have activities. So this is a pipeline. Pipeline is a logical group of activities. We are going to have a collection of activities. So in this case, I have 5 activities in this pipeline. Every pipeline can have a connectivity. Okay, so you may have a connectivity like this, or you may have a connectivity like this also. Depends on the requirement, you can have a connectivity. So collection of activities is known as a pipeline. Okay, and that is what I'm saying. It is used to represent a logical group of activities that performs one unit of work. And pipeline can have a single or collection of activities is known as a pipeline. And Azure Data Factory contains multiple pipelines. You can have a multiple pipelines. And pipeline can have one activity or multiple activities. 100% is multiple activities will be there in the real time. 100% is. You cannot see any pipeline which is having only one activity. So we are going to have a multiple activities in the pipeline. So activity means it represents a single processing step or single processing, like if you understand this example, then you can understand. So I wanted to get the size of the file is one task. The task that you can implement with one activity. So every activity has its own purpose to do the work. So to find the size of the file, there is an activity. I wanted to copy a file from one place to another place. Then that is another activity. And checking the folder existence is one activity. And checking the count of rows, or you can control the flow of execution. I wanted to copy a files. As many files are available, that many times I wanted to iterate it. So there is a different activity. I wanted to log the details. So logging is another detail, another activity. So for every activity, there is a activity in the data factory, or for every task, there is a activity in the data factory. So activity is equivalent to in SSIS, we used to call it as a task. Activity, task, both are same. Okay, and there is a data flow in the SSIS also. Here also we have a data flow, same to same. There is no much differences when it comes to the data flow. So there that is called as a data flow task, and here we used to call it as a data flow activity. We used to call it as an activity. And in SSIS we have a containers. We don't have a containers in the data factory. Everything is going to be activity only. Okay, so in SSIS, I'll tell you when the time comes, but we used to call this entire thing as a package. Basically, the package is equivalent to your pipeline. SSIS, we used to call it as a package, and here we used to call it as a pipeline. Or when it comes to the Databricks, we used to call it as a notebook. Okay, so that is the naming standard. More or less same. Okay, so there also debug and here also debug. Now, if you wanted to test anything, you need to debug it. So in order to debug, we need to go for triggers. There are varieties of the triggers are there. We have a separate session practically. We'll talk about more in detail. What are the different types of triggers we're having in the data factory. And if you wanted to schedule your pipelines, if you wanted to automate your pipelines, we are going to use the trigger. Okay, so no SQL Server, I mean to say this one, SQL Server agent is there for SSIS, but here we're going to use data factory itself for automation. Okay, so let's do this use case so that you can understand. Okay, give me a minute. So once I've done this particular exercise, you have to do this exercise multiple times. Multiple times till you get without seeing this, without seeing the record or without seeing this note. All the navigations, you have to get it. If you don't get the navigations, then if you don't do this practice, the next further sessions is going to be difficult. So I'm going to take you through this little more in detail with more details. I'll take it one by one. So you have to do this practice. If you give it to me, I can do it in 5 minutes also. Okay, so if we can do it as fast as possible, then definitely you can understand the rest of the pipelines. So first pipeline is very, very important. Okay, so let me explain the requirement. Then you can understand how we are going to do it. Create a pipeline. When I say move, it is a copy only. With respect to data factory, just keep in mind, we are going to copy the data. So move means basically it is a control X. It's not a control X, it is a control C and V. From input directory to output directory in the Azure Data Lake Storage Gen2 account. From input directory to output directory. So this is my source and this is my target. Here I have given this diagram. If you can understand this diagram, you can easily understand. My data source is Azure Data Lake Storage Gen2. That means what? Your data store is Azure Data Storages. Your source is Azure Data Storages. If your source is Azure Data Storage, what kind of integration runtime we required? We required Azure Integration Runtime. We required Azure Integration Runtime. We already talked about Azure Integration Runtime. So when we can use it? So when the moment you see the requirement, you can feel that. If your source is Azure Storage, then use Azure Integration Runtime. If your target is Azure Storage, then use Azure Integration Runtime. As simple as that. Now we decided to go with Azure Integration Runtime. That first is done. The second is link service. We require link service. Link service is going to be created when it comes to the ADLS Gen 2. We are going to create a link services based on the account. If an account is same, one link service is enough. If account is different, then two link services is required. This is one account and this is other account, then two link services are required. If account is same, one link service is enough. We are going to create a link service based on the account, not based on the input directory and not based on the output directory. We are going to create a link service based on the account.
Hi, Bhaskar.
Yeah.
I'm missing the maybe linking services. Can you please highlight it or can you please repeat?
I'll show that. I'll show. While showing it, I'll explain about it. Okay. So the link service that we are going to create based on the account. The account is same. So one link service is enough. Integration runtime is required. That is already available. And link service we required to create it. One link service is required. And data set. Data set, I told you, for source is required. For source is one data set and target is one data set. Two data sets are required. And then you're going to create a pipeline. That's all. Okay, so when we see this practically, then you can easily understand. And if I wanted to implement this use case, what services I required? By seeing this diagram, you can say the required services. The required services, one is Azure Data Factory is required. The second is Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 is required. ADLS Gen 2. These two services are required to complete my use case. We already having Azure Data Factory. We already available it. It is already available. And this is not available. I'm going to create it. Yesterday, we have seen how we can create the data factory. And today I'm going to show you your storage account and how we are going to complete this use case. We'll see that. Let's set up your first data lake storage Gen 2 account.
Oscar, one question.
Yes.
This ADLS we are going to create inside the ADF or like previously we used
ADF is a processor only. You cannot have any storages here.
Okay.
Storages is a service only, right?
Okay, because I mean in the previous session, so we created like multiple ADLS, right? So
That we created in the portal as individual service, not in the data factory.
Okay, okay, yeah, okay,
Okay.
got it.
Data factory cannot store anything.
Okay, got it.
Now I'm going to create a storage account. You can see storage accounts. Plus create. So here we need to provide the storage details. So what is the group? What is the subscription? So as usual, the way we created a data factory, in the same way we require to create a storage account. Let me take my resource group, that is my resource group, and storage account name I'm taking Bhaskar ADLS May. Primary service, I'm just taking data lake storage Gen 2. And redundancy, I'm just taking locally redundant. So I told you this is a ADLS Gen 2. To say this is a ADLS Gen 2, in the next step, we need to make sure to check this hierarchical namespace. So these steps you have to do and you have to make it ready. Just review plus create. And hit on create. So I'm creating Azure storage account in the portal. Now it is done. Let's go to resource. And we need to create a containers. To create a container, come to this data storage. Here you can find containers. Just hit on containers. You have to set up all the setup by ourselves. Okay, so in real time, we are not going to do all this stuff. Let's hit on plus container. The name of the container, I'm taking data files. Hit on create. Let's go inside the data files. Add a directory called input directory. So inside the input, what you have? Customer.csv. So I wanted to keep this customer.csv. I wanted to keep this customer.csv. Let's go inside your input directory. Upload. You have to upload it by manual. I'm just taking customer.csv file. Let's upload. Now inside your data files, this is the account name. Bhaskar ADLS May is your account name. Inside the account name, we have a data files is the container. Inside the data files, I have a input directory. Inside input directory, I have a customer.csv file. So let's duplicate this tab. First tab is pointing to the input directory. second tab is going to point to output directory. But here I don't have a output directory. I'm not going to create it. I'm going to ask my data factory to create a output directory. So directory means it's a folder only. So I wanted to create that folder from the data factory only. So I'm going to ask my data factory to create it. Now let's implement this. My source is ready. I need to create a pipeline to move the data from input directory to output directory. My data is available in the input directory. I wanted to move my data from the input directory to output directory. If output directory is not available, your data factory is having capability to create a directory. If it is available, it will use the existed directory. If it is not available, it will create it. The very first thing that you need to keep in mind is what type of integration runtime we required. We already decided what type of integration runtime is required. That is Azure integration runtime is required. So these are all the steps that you require to remember. Identify which IR is required for your source and target. For source also you have to see when you copy data from one place to other place. And for target also you have to see your integration runtime. So in our case, we are going to use Azure integration runtime for the source and Azure integration runtime for the target. So we are sure about it since our integration runtime is available. I don't need to create or I don't need to set up integration runtime. I can use the existed integration runtime. The next step is link services. Link services are not available. We need to set up the link services. I'm saying here, create a link services for source and target. If source and target is same account, then you don't need to create a two link services. One link service is enough. If source account is different and target account is different, then you are going to have a two link services. We are going to see how we can use the two link services also. For time being, we are going to use only one link service here. Now my source is what? My source is Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. That you are aware of it. My source is ADLS Gen 2. And then come to here, plus new. We need to create a link service. For what we are creating a link service? For data, we are creating a link service. Then make sure to choose the data store connectors. My data store is Azure related store. Then go to the Azure category. Under Azure category, all these are Azure related connectors. I have a Azure Blob Storage, and you can see here Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. When you come to the link service, you have to make sure Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 you have to use to create a link service. Just select or double click and hit on continue. So this is going to have a connection details. Your link service is going to have your connection details. This is equivalent to connection manager in SSIS. SSIS connection manager is going to have a connection details. And here also you're going to have a connection details. So if it is a database, server name, database name, login details are going to be there. And if it is a file system, then appropriate details. Whatever the connector it is, you're going to have a appropriate connection details are going to be there in the link service. So link service is going to have a connection information. Now I'm going to create this link service saying that ls underscore Bhaskar ADLS me. I'm just giving link service underscore account name. You can give any naming standard for practicing. And let's go for, I told you, in order to create this link service, you required integration runtime. I'm creating a link service. But while creating this link service, it is asking 100% we required connect via integration runtime. If you want to connect to your source system, you have to connect through the integration runtime only. We're already having Azure IR here. The type of Azure integration runtime is Azure integration runtime. So I'm connecting through the integration runtime. So that means your link service is dependent on the integration runtime. If you don't have an integration runtime, then you cannot create a link service. And just take the authentication type. We have a
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. So,
Yeah.
so what it means actually, I understand linked service it is connection details. And why we need to via Go integration runtime? Means what actually?
If you can we work at anything without processor?
Sorry?
You require some compute, right?
Compute. Okay.
Yeah. So compute, when you go for SSIS, in
Hmm.
general, you are having a experience on SSIS, right? So there
Yeah.
is a SSIS integration runtime by default. It will be up and running. You don't need to choose anything because there is only one integration runtime.
Okay.
Okay, so behind the scene, if integration runtime is not running in services, you cannot access it. You cannot create a link services.
So basically, it will connect like required voice level service means
Of
some
course,
kind of network.
even if you take a database engine, if you install SQL Server or Oracle, anything, if server is not running, you cannot access it. You're connecting, since it was already in running mode, you can connect it. In the same way here also you require compute. If you don't have a compute, then you cannot connect it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
It is
So it's
like
just
a application level services which are required.
yes, yes.
Thanks.
Okay, so this is an integration runtime, and we
One last question, Bhaskar. So
Yeah.
without this one, we cannot create a linked service, right, Bhaskar?
Yes, without integration runtime, you cannot create a link service. That's what we discussed, 3 different types of integration runtimes.
Yeah.
Okay, now authentication type. What type of authentication types are available for connecting to this Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 is, I have an account key, SaaS, service principal, system assigned managed identity. We'll see few of them, we'll talk about it, but for now, just leave it as it is the default account key. And subscription, I'm going to choose. My subscription is, just select whatever the subscription you're having. And account name, your account name is Bhaskar ADLS Me. Just choose the account. You can get to know what we need to do it here. Let me hit on test connection. Now it is done. So once it is done, let me hit on create. So you have to make sure this is connected successfully. Let's hit on create. It's a one-time activity. Whenever you are going to read the data from the same account, you don't need to create again link service. Once you create it, you can reuse it again and again. Okay, so here we don't have a connection manager, local connection manager or shared connection manager. We have only one that is going to be saved only. So you can have this, you can use across all the pipelines. Across the data factory, it is going to be available. So one link service is enough for our requirement. Is everyone clear? The second point, how we can create a link service for our requirement?
Yeah, but if you have like multiple files with the like one by one.
We'll see that. Connection is not decided by number of files. Connection is going to decided by platform.
I mean, like example, Oracle, if you take another one file instead of this file, so then we need to have a different
Yes.
service.
For Oracle platform, we required one link service. For database, we required one connection. Okay, so people used to have a one link service for one database. And if it comes to me, I can use a link service for one platform wise. I can use it. I can create it. Okay, so depends on the people, they're going to create it. If you have a less number of items, then you can create a separate link services also. But if you have a too many databases, when I worked for one of the company, there were more 28 databases were there. We created only one link service. for all 28 databases.
But
Okay.
that is of different type, like SQL Server only, or it is one?
Oracle.
Okay. Like, okay, got it.
Okay. So for every platform, keep in mind you can have one link service. Minimum is required.
Hmm.
For database level also, we can create one link service. For every database, we can create one link service. Okay. So you understand this link service, right? Now, once you have it, then you have to create a data sets. The third point you have to do is you have to create a data set. A data set for source and data set is for target also. Two data sets are required. Whenever you are going to copy the data, 100% is you required two data sets. Whenever you are going to copy the data, 100% is two data sets are required. You cannot go with one data set. So two data sets are required. Let me show you how we can create a data set. Now, when you create a data set, it should point to the data. When you create a link service, it should point to the location of the storage, location of the data. But when you create a data set, that should point to the data. Now just see here, 3 dots, hit on it, a new data set. Hit on new data set. Let's go to Azure category. Under this, we used to create a link service, we used Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. The same thing I'm going to use here also, and hit on continue. Now there are varieties of the files formats are available. Whenever you go for file system, you are going to have a varieties of the formats. I have average formats, binary, delimited, Excel, Iceberg, JSON. Okay, so ORC, Parquet, XML, and so on. So my source is having CSV, customer.csv. Customer.csv file is available. So that indicates my file format is delimited. If my file format is JSON, then take the JSON. If file format is Parquet, then take the Parquet. Whatever I rounded, these formats are very, very important for data engineers. Okay, so there is a ORC is also there, ORC, Avro. If they're using Hadoop cluster, then they may have the file systems, these things. But for us, we're going to use this. Parquet is very, very, very important. We cannot avoid this Parquet. And of course, JSON also is very much important. So CSV, very starting in the data ingestion side, there is a more chances to have the CSV. Okay, so whatever I have my file is with the CSV format. So I'm taking this delimited. So you can take this for tab delimited or colon delimited or whatever the delimiter you're having. Whenever you're having a delimited, you can choose this a delimited text. So since my file is customer.csv, I'm going to take a delimited text as a format of the file. Is everyone clear? Let's go to the delimited and hit on continue. Here I'm going to give the name of the data set. DS underscore, I'm giving a container name, that is data files. Inside data files, I have an input directory. Inside input directory, I have a customer. I'm just giving some naming standard here. DS underscore data files underscore input underscore customer. You can also give ABCD also. I'm just giving some naming standard here. Inside the container, I have an input directory. Inside input directory, I have a customer file. Do not give customer.csv here. It will not allow. And when I'm trying to create a data set, what it is asking? Link service it is asking. Without link service, can we create a data set? No, because to see what data is there, you have to use the link service. To go to the link service, integration runtime is required. So this is all we have seen it. Now I'm just taking link service, whatever we created just while ago. I'm just taking the link service. And then there is a path. You have to browse the file. Just hit on this browse. It is pointing to the data files in the account. Inside the data files, I have an input directory. Inside input directory, I have a file called customer.csv. Hit OK. Then you can see data files is there, input is there, file name is there. If you know them, you can enter. If you're aware of all the naming standards, you can also enter. And if you want to browse it, you can browse it. It's up to you. And my file is having the header. If I open my file, edit, see here, I have a header in the file. Header is there. So I need to specify, is file having the header or not? If the file is not having the header, you're not going to say first row as a header. If the file is having the header, then I'm going to say first row as a header. So these details are required. First row as a header, by default, it is already selected. File path is required. First row as a header is required. And I'm not going to deal with the data. We are not going to deal with the data. You're just saying copy and paste, Control C and Control V. I don't need to look into the file. To copy a file from one place to other place, I don't need to look into the file. So I don't need to import the schema. So schema means column names and data types. I don't need to import it because you are not dealing with the data. This import schema is required only if you go for a transformation. If you go for data transformation, then only you can go for importing the schema. Here I'm just going to do data ingestion. Then make sure to choose this none. I don't need the schema. I'm just going to say none. If I'm going to deal with the data, then schema is required. We'll come across this. Now I'm just taking file path, first as a header, and none. And finally just hit on OK. Now your source data set is created. You can see here there is a properties. Just hit on it. It will be minimized. If you hit on again, then you can see. If you want to rename, then you can rename it. Otherwise, you just hit on it. Now you can see while creating the data set, we have a very less number of options or very less number of properties. But after creation of the data set, once the data set is selected here, you can see there is a connection, schema, parameters. We'll see all these things later. For now, we just leave it as it is. Whatever I have shown, that is more enough for this particular use case. Now I have created source data set. Then what about the target data set? The target data set also is same to same. The target data set also is going to be same to same. I'm having same CSV. Let's do it again. Just observe. Same steps I'm going to repeat here. Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. Hit on continue. My file format is CSV. Hit on continue and give the naming standard here. DS underscore data files underscore output underscore customer. So I wanted to keep my customer file inside the output directory. So that is what the meaning of this naming standard. So here also you require link service. I'm going to use the same link service. I'm going to browse it, data files, but I don't have an output directory here. I don't have an output directory. I'm going to enter my output directory here manually. I'm going to enter my file name manually, customer.csv. First as a header and say none. Whatever the values I required, those values I entered manually because this is not available to browse it. And this is not available to browse it. So because of that reason, I'm just feeding manually here. I'm just feeding manually. So what happens is when the pipeline is running, when the pipeline is running, your data factory understands this output directory is not available. So I need to create an output directory. And my file is not available. I need to create a file. So data factory can understand that.
Yeah,
Let's-
yeah, before that, I have one doubt.
Mhm.
So here, you mentioned the file path, right?
Yes.
So where it will going to be created? It will be created in ADLS Gen 2,
Yes.
same thing,
Yes,
same
yes.
area, right?
Same area. Previously, here we have a only input directory. No output directory is available. Once it is run, then it is going to create an output directory here.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's hit OK. Now two data sets are created. And then I required pipeline. You have to design the pipeline. Your data sets are ready. You need to create it or you need to design the pipeline. So let's come to this pipeline section. Hit on new pipeline.
So when we give the output mentioned, right, file path,
Mhm.
whether it is going to affect the existing
No.
Gen 2, ADLS Gen 2.
Existing means
The input directory is there. There is no output directory. Whether it is going to
create it. That's what I'm saying. It creates a directory if it is not available.
that once we'll run the pipeline.
Yes,
right?
yes. Once you run it, you can see the change.
So like a kind of input we are providing to the ADL.
Yes, output will be provided by your data factory.
Oh,
Okay. So let's create a new pipeline. The pipeline name I'm giving pipeline underscore copy from input to output. Let's minimize this. And once you create a pipeline, you can see here the changes happen. This entire space is going to be design surface. This white space. Design surface. You can add the activities. So we have activities. These activities are equivalent to in SSIS. We used to call them as tasks. Okay, so tasks are equals to activities. Everything is going to be activity in the data factory. Whatever the activities that you require, you can bring them into the pipeline to design. So there is a move on transform activities, Synapse activities, Azure function, Databricks activities, general activities, iteration activities, control activities, something like this. They categorize this. So your data factory is not only for data engineers, can others also can use them. Now in our case, now I'm just going to talk about this move and transform. This move and transform, when you expand it, you can see there is a copy activity and data flow activity. I'll talk about little more in detail about this move and transform from tomorrow. But now I'm just going to use this. I wanted to finish my first pipeline. Just drag and drop it. We'll talk about this copy data activity more in detail on tomorrow. Okay, so I'm just going to drag and drop my copy activity. It is asking what is the source data set. I told you whenever you go for copy, you require source data set and you require sink data set. We already created a data set for source and we already created a data set for sink. Just select the source and source data set to just get it from the drop down because we already created. Select your input customer. Just leave everything default. I'm not talking anything at this point of time. Let's go to the sink. The sink also I'm going to take the sink data set, that is output customer. That's all. Your pipeline is ready. Your copy activity can copy the data. The symbol of this is saying as it is moving the data. As it is moving. Okay, so it is just going to dump the data. Data ingestion will be handled with the copy activity only. The copy activity is designed for data ingestion. Now, once you have done all the necessary things, then we need to test the pipeline. If you wanted to test the pipeline, you have to test it, right? Is your pipeline working as expected or not? Then you have to run the pipeline from your side. then we are going to use the debug. At the time of development, we are going to use this debug frequently. Okay, so once it is done, then we are going to use the triggers. For schedule, we are going to use this trigger. And for debugging purpose, we are going to use the debug mode. Let's execute this. Just observe before running. I don't have anything here. I'm just going to run it now. Now you can see it is succeeded. Now if you go and refresh your storage account, just refresh it. Now you can see the output. I did not create this output. Your data factory has created. Let's go inside the output directory. I have a customer.csv. I did not bring the data from input directory to here, or I did not upload any file here. Your data factory has done it. Your data factory ingested the data from one place to other place. Your data source may be anything. Your data source may be database. Your data source may be file system. We are bringing the data into the ADLS Gen 2. Is everyone clear? This use case?
Yes, Bhaskar.
Yeah, very good one. Yeah, this is the first one.
Yeah, this is first one. Do it multiple times. Navigations are very important. Okay, so once you're habituated to create a data sets and link service and pipeline, then we are going to mostly 1 week, more 1 week, we are going to deal with the copy activity only, along with other activities. Okay. So once you've done it, you just publish this. In order to, what is this publish? I'll talk about it later, but for time being, just publish it.
But the sync is like a destination, right?
Yes, exactly. In our SSIS, when you compare, you can say that OLTP destination and OLTP source is there. In the same way, you can have it.
Oh.
Only thing is, when you go for SSIS, a data flow only can move the data. Other activities cannot move. But here, copy activity can move the data, and data flow activity also can move the data. Okay, any questions? I'm stopping here.
Okay. Go ahead, Bhaskar.
Yeah, Bhaskar. So in case of like data transformation, so like currently we did the activity of data ingestion, right?
Yes, yes.
So in case of data transformation, once the data transformation is completed, then the data will be stored in ADLS, right? So now
Yes.
how it stored
Basically,
in
yeah. First phase is data ingestion. Second phase, we're going to do the data transformation.
Okay, after
For data, for data transformation, we are going to use the data flow.
Okay, after transformation, the file will be stored in ADLS.
Yes,
only.
yes.
Okay.
Our
Yeah.
target is always ADLS.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, please go ahead, other.
Bhaskar.
I have one question, Bhaskar.
Yeah.
So, does it possible the data fetching from via API?
Yeah, it is possible. We
Okay,
are going to see one use case with that.
Okay. Bhaskar, I have facing one issue. Can I share my screen?
Yeah, you can.
Also disable the
Okay,
participants.
1 minute, 1 minute. Let me, I forgot to change that option.
This recording, when it will be available?
Which one recording you're saying?
Yeah, actually today due to Wi-Fi issue, I joined lately.
Okay.
So
So
yes.
I'll make it available after I have a session at 8 to 9.
Yeah,
So
after that.
yeah, after that it will be uploaded.
Yeah, I mean not immediately, like second half or in the evening. It will
Yeah, but no, I don't keep till that time. Unfortunately, if I forget to leave, if I'm going to office, So that time you may face some problem, but 99% is I'll try to keep it. By
Yeah.
after by 11 a.m. I'll make it available.
Okay.
Bhaskar, I tried to connect this database in that SSMS, but I am facing this error.
Can you take what is that database inside?
Plugin failed. That
Okay,
Azure.
can you hit OK? First hit OK. Is that on-prem or okay?
Mm.
Azure SQL only, right?
Yes, yes.
Database.windows.net.
Mm,
Okay, so can you go to your portal?
just I have created multiple databases, but
Okay.
if I try to delete this databases, but
Any that's fine. Any database. What database you're connecting now from
this
there?
one,
Yeah,
this one.
open that. Okay, so server name is fine. And can you set server firewall? Can you on top, on little top, in the middle, little up. Set server firewall, left side, yeah. Can you come little down? 155 only, your IP address. IP address is same. Okay, can you go to your SSMS? Can you connect here itself? Can you go little up? There is a query editor you can find. Not here. Can you go to the overview? Not even here. Can you go to again? What I can say? Yeah, Azure SQL. Now open it again. Your database. There is a query editor in the left side. Down. Yes, hit on it. Just provide your password. What is your account name? Did you keep that same account name?
Please contact your system.
Okay, so are you administrator for this?
Yes,
Did you use the same account to create while creating your server?
yes, yes.
Okay. I think something you missed it, if I'm correct.
Okay, so
Okay, Azure
I will.
Active Directory only authentication is enabled. SQL authentication, I think you have not enabled SQL authentication, if I'm correct.
Might be so where we can check that is that enable or not.
Can you go to the server? What is the server name? Can you open the top one? Your
Right
source.
hand side it is there, na? Right
Yeah,
hand side only.
Which one? This one.
3 data. Not that one, I think so. Authentication type. Can you open the server, not a database? In the left side, Sri Kodur is there, right? The second one. No. From the bottom, yeah. Open it. Here, any details are there here. Server admin is this one. Then you are entering a different name.
Okay, but
While creating this account, you have taken that administrator. Admin account name is different. Now just enter the password. Azure Active Directory. Okay, so you are not enabled SQL authentication. You are enabled only Azure Active Directory authentication. Here is no problem.
Hmm.
The authentication type is wrong. Okay, so can you try from SSMS? Can you go there? Take authentication type. Change that authentication type to Microsoft Managed Identity, or can you take integrated? Microsoft Entra integrated. Not that one. Can you cancel that? No, not that one. Microsoft MFA. Not MFA also. You have to get the email. You have to enter the email. Can you enter your email address? Try with that. Authenticated.
But tomorrow it is 6:45 only.
Yes, I'm 6:45.
Thanks.
Now can you go to SSMS? Okay, it is connected.
Okay.
So you have not used SQL authentication. That is the problem.
I will try to watch it.
Okay.
How I can delete the database?
That's you can remove it. All the
I
things.
tried to remove multiple times, but it would not be deleted at all the
No,
time.
you can go there. I'll tell you. No, open the data. First take the database. Open the database. No, not checkbox.
Okay.
Checkbox also is there, right? There is a delete.
Selected all.
And delete on top. On the top. Yeah.
Here it is showing that
It is asking enter the delete. Text only. Delete. Hit and delete. That's all.
see that
Okay.
the command on the 5 selected items.
Do one by one. First delete the last one, bottom. Select the open the first one. Open it. No. Yeah, open it. Then you can find delete. Database name. Source. No. Source, you have to enter source. And delete.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was correct.
Okay, then I'm stopping here. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Bhaskar,
that.
Bhaskar, can I get 5 minutes of time, Bhaskar?
Not 5 minutes, man. Already batch is waiting.
Okay.
Do you want to talk to me personally?
Yes,
Or do you want?
Or else tomorrow we'll connect, Bhaskar. Not an issue.
Okay then. We'll see before starting of the session.
Yeah, just 5 minutes, Bhaskar. That's it.
Okay, so you wanted to share the screen, right?
Yes, Bhaskar.
Okay, so we'll see on tomorrow then.
Yeah, sure, Bhaskar. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.